Hi, we are live, and Donna just asked me if I have a quiz today. And yes, I do. It's kind of a serious quiz. It is about marriage and money. So, Donna Wilburn, hello. Donna took a week off. Can we tell people where you were?
Oh, please. I'm so excited that I even got to go. I got to go to the Hamptons in Southampton.
Southampton, where next door to Paul McCartney.
Where all the
and
celebrities,
Richard
Chris
Gere.
Brinkley and Richard Gere and Gabrielle and all that kind of stuff.
And you're so glad to be back in that little bedroom talking to us.
Right? So excited.
We have been nowhere. So, and below we see a lone Aubie Werne because we've sent John off to get lights. I feel bad that he'll be back.
Undo list.
Yes, we give him now, no matter what, no matter who would be in charge, in this case, it would be John. He is a television producer. I mean, he's in television and radio. So no matter what, he would be in charge of this thing. Does that make sense?
Well, they should have known better.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Wow, he should have had it all set up like a studio at the time. That's true. No, so Aubie and John. So Donna, Aubie's my niece. She is 28-ish. Did you just turn 28? 28?
Back in June, yes.
Yeah, back in June, 28. I know that because she was 2 when Janet and I got married. So she is my wife's niece by marriage. So she's only known me her entire life. She has not known life without me, which is a little sad that she hasn't.
A little bit.
And she got married this last April in the height of death of COVID. They put together a wedding. They said, we're going to plow through and do it anyway.
Was it a virtual wedding?
It was 90% virtual. How many people did you actually have there?
We had 10 people inside. We had several people in the driveway in their cars. So they were all in their own little containment pods.
And we watched from here.
Yes.
Yeah, we watched from home on Zoom. Yes.
They were in pods.
No, they were in their cars. They were in their cars. Yes, they bought pods for everyone. It was beautiful. John, you did a good job.
Expensive.
Very good key lighting. Very good. So that you did a good job. So although Donna dissed you while you were gone, very meanly. She's a therapist too.
Yeah.
I was there 5 minutes. I did it in 2.5.
You did it in less than 2 minutes, and Donna's over here just striking out at you. Wow.
That's fine.
She takes a week off in the Hamptons, and now she's snooty. And isn't that funny?
Oh, that's what it is. I'm too good. I'm too good now. I have to.
Too good for everything. So I took the week off. I've been doing Halloween shows. And Donna, I apologize. I've lost your little ad. I don't know where it is. So this week, everybody go to Ohana WC. And
we're going to say I lost it.
So what Donna does now, Aubie and John, is she's a therapist, but now she does high tension conflict divorce. So if things go rough, give me a call.
May we never need you.
Right.
You will. I don't think you will. I don't think you will. You guys are doing pretty good. I like you. I like you together. I liked it when you met. I like John's sarcasm. I like when we went to lunch and you say things that make people uncomfortable. I think that's so beautiful when you just, in your own mind, you're not thinking about, I think that's just beautiful.
Brad can relate.
I can relate to that.
What's funny, Brad, is there's no less than 3 people who could have introduced us before we met through our own ways. And you were one of the people who could have introduced us.
That's true. The Wernes, John's mom, worked at Holiday World for many years. I was close to her. There's something going on in the room.
Where did you say she worked?
Holiday World. It's in John is from Santa Claus, which is where Janet and I lived for 15 years. And his mom would put me in commercials and stuff. It was really fun. Holiday World is an amusement park in Indiana. Oh, you don't know what that is? Okay.
It was the first amusement park.
What?
It was the first amusement park.
It was the first theme amusement park with a theme. Yeah. So, and it was so great back in the day because when they get a new ride, I just get a call, come on out and ride this new ride. And then we'll do commercials and we'll do stuff. And the first one was the Watubi that they put up, and they said, everybody get a suit and wear a suit and come. So I went and bought a suit, like a tie, and at St. Vincent de Paul. And I showed up and they're like, what? And I said, I'm going to ride in a suit. And it got national news and stuff like that. So it was kind of fun. And then when they did the second wave pool, the Bahari, is that the second one? I had my daughter was only, Aubie was probably 10 or 11, or 12, and my daughter was 3 or 4. And I got in USA Today, a paper with her trying to lift her into the water and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
And then the worst one was when the Legend opened. We were doing a commercial, and they said, "Okay, everybody ride the Legend." And it was great. Yeah, everybody cheer. And the first was great. But after about 15 times, we were all like, we can't do it anymore. We can't ride this ride.
Brad, do you remember when they were having us test the Legend? Because I was there too. Before they let us do that, they have the bags of corn. Do you remember that?
Yeah, no, they ran the bags of corn. That's how they tested before they let
people. Those were supposed to be people.
Yeah.
And right before we got on, it came through, and I don't know, maybe a quarter of them had split open, and I looked, and I'm like, I don't know about this.
I did not see the split open bags, or I might have thought twice. And what's funny about the Legend is, unlike other roller coasters, this is a kidney punching. This one's rough. You get beaten up bad every time. I think they've done a lot now to it to make it better, but you get really beaten up on the Legend, and you feel like you've gone through something when you ride that Legend. And after 15 times, we were like, we can't be excited anymore. We've got to switch. But just living in a town, and I think John could say, growing up in a town that small with an amusement park like that, with such a small, is just the greatest thing. My dream growing up was to live in a lake community with an amusement park half a block away. And for 15 years, that's what I did every day. Took my daughter to this amusement park, and John got to grow up in that. So, which I don't know if that was a good thing. Probably a good thing.
Well, Santa Claus was too crowded. We lived outside of Santa Claus, so
yeah, the village was too crowded. You needed land. You needed space. Run around naked a little bit. But so let's start. Here's how we do the show. We didn't get a chance to talk because you guys showed up so late. Sorry. But here's what we do. I have a bucket, and it says jokes, but what's really in it is questions. When I do my show on the ships, I have people ask questions or give me questions. It says, write down a question about marriage you have or bringing up children in a marriage. And then I answer those during the show. But since we're off for COVID, I have 1,000 questions. So we answer those questions, and we're going to let you answer them too. And then we're going to ask you questions too about your marriage. And then Donna tries to say something useful. Okay. Oh God. Okay. Hey, this is going to be a good one because you guys.
Wait. FYI, it's uncensored. Children are not watching usually, and it sometimes gets a little raunchy.
We don't curse though. We skirt around. We don't say dirty words and stuff like that. But yeah, anything could come out.
Topics are interesting.
Well, and this one says,
look off to the side. It is because our 8-year-old is home.
So he is home. So
he is home, but he is in the other room.
He's in the other room. Okay, well that's fine. He said he wouldn't understand what we're talking about as much as anything else. So, and we'll talk about that too, maybe. Okay. Why? Here we go. Why does the amount of sex you have as a couple drop by 100% after marriage?
I don't think it was 100%.
100%. So what we also try to do is think about the mind of the person who wrote the question. And let me start by saying that, Donna, you talk a little bit about sex after marriage and it waning a bit.
Yeah, I don't know if it's quite like the day you get married and it all changes. But as you get older and more you see each other every day, you don't have to like, oh, let's make this happen every time you see each other, because you see each other every day. So you kind of start taking the visits for granted, and you get older, your hormones don't rage the same as they did when you were younger. I like to think about it as we get more mature and our priorities change, and that doesn't have to be our like one and only way to bond. So I like to think about it like that, but it should still be existent.
It should be existent. And if somebody, now I'm going to throw out that this is a man that wrote this question.
He's totally assuming. Totally.
He's told, well, and he's not assuming. He also has done.
You're assuming.
No. Oh, come on. Why does the amount of sex you have drop as a couple by 100% after marriage? How many women are like, oh, I could just not having any sex. We're not having enough sex.
A lot of women. A lot of women. When men get over 50, you talk about a drop happens. And then I get all the women going, hello, my hormones my testosterone went up, his went down. What happened?
Well, I am over 50, and I can tell you that it has not dropped by 100%. And now I will say this. One of the things I will say, honestly, as a man over 50, that every day is not going to be a thing. And when we were young, I'm thinking if we go to Aubie and John, when we were younger, there was a lot more activity, and I think more than she wanted. I think more, she'd be like, and she would go, okay, why not? You want it, let's do it. Okay. But then as time goes on, if you don't want it, you're going to say, yeah, let's just wait. And then now we're getting to a point where you're right. My priorities are different. I could force myself if I had to, but I would rather us both be really kind of excited about it. You know what I mean? As opposed to just horny. Now, let's go to Aubie and John, because how long have you been together?
We've been together right at 2 years.
I want to preface this with, before we got on here, Aubie basically said, now, don't talk about anything that you don't want to explain to my mom. And I think we're getting to that territory. So, Lauren, you're watching, you may hear things that you don't want to hear, and that's just too bad.
Well, we know that you didn't do anything until you were married.
I think Mom knows.
For sure.
I have a kid, so there's proof that I've done stuff before marriage.
No, I mean with Aubie. You and Aubie did nothing, because Aubie has done nothing until the night after you were married. So let's go. But you can talk about the fact that in just the 5 months. Now, we know that a child gets in the way of these things when you can't just, because you have a child.
Run around naked.
Are you finding the drop? Is there a drop or is there not?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think it really just fluctuates for us right now based on health and access to non-child time.
She's an OT at a nursing home, and she comes home. She's prone to migraines, but certain measures have been implemented recently that exacerbate her migraines and other issues. So if she comes home with a migraine, obviously I'm not going to jump on her for that. I'm going to do my best to make sure
that has two meanings. You're not going to jump on her for that. Two meanings.
In school, we're learning about literal and figurative meanings. So
that's right.
Draw a picture. But so on those days, I just want to make sure that if she needs medicine, she has medicine, that things are relatively calm and quiet, that she has whatever thing that she wants me to cook, that I can do that. And then there's other nights where she's feeling well and I'm in a funk for some way. So we're a lot of times perfectly content to lay on this couch on opposite ends with our feet entangled pretzel-like and take a nap.
Yeah, and take a nap. But let me say this, and I would like to say that Aubie and John are both older than 22. You know what I mean? They're over 28 and a little older than that, which gives you a little of that, I think, maturity. Because although I will say this, John, let's admit it, you're in a funk, you don't want to do anything. She comes home and she's really ready. You're in.
Most of the time, I've got to be in a real bad funk not to do that.
Can you think of a time when you were in a bad enough funk that she was like, now, and you were like, eh?
Couple days ago.
A couple days ago. Wow, you were in a funk. Because
for me, it's virtual schooling at home with our son. He's autistic, high functioning autistic, but sometimes he just can't get through stuff, and then I get brought down because I'm trying to bring that right.
Your battery life.
Yeah, but for us, we communicate really well. So, I mean, it's what you say. Sometimes it's priorities are different. We're more content. We're more happy, I would say, to just be near each other. On the opposite end of that, we went to an adult store recently and we kind of browsed around and we found some new items, some new toys, and that was fun.
Hey,
There are stories related to that I can't tell you.
no, we don't need to go into that, but because we've talked about that on this show many times. We've gotten that question many times, and that's a brilliant thing. And what I like what you're saying too is, and I think people need to understand this, especially when they're younger, is we're in the same vein where the being together and giving something that's not necessarily sexual, but something that is more intimate.
Did you just freeze?
No, that was you. So
is he talking?
Something more intimate.
Is anyone talking?
Yes. Can you not hear us? John and Aubrey and I are communicating fine.
Did I freeze?
No, just stop. Whatever you're doing. Calm down. Can you hear me now, Donna?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. We're fine. We are fine. I'm making a point.
Brad froze, but I could still see them. And so I'm like talking to them, like, can you hear me? And they're nodding. And I'm like, can you guys hear Brad?
They can hear me. Yes, they can hear. Say you can hear me.
See how good communicators we are?
Yeah, you're good. Donna's out of it today. Okay, Donna. So, okay, yes, you. Okay, so here's the point I'm trying to make. And that is that there's an intimacy level that because you're older and got married later, that is there, that I understand too, which is why I would say something that I'm sure John does. You come home, migraine, headache, if there's not an overriding need with Cameron or something else, that there are things you can do that are not sexual that can help her, like with Janet, rub this, rub the head, rub the thing, or leave you alone in a dark room and bring you something to eat. You know what I mean? It just lets you be alone in a dark room. And that to me is, as at this age, you're right, is as good as sex. You know,
sometimes better.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. I was going to say sometimes better, but not always.
Not always. Usually
not 100%.
Usually not.
By the way, there's something I forgot to do, and maybe Donna will come back. I forgot to run the opening, but I need to. Here we go.
1,000 Questions is an entertaining discussion of marriage. We aren't telling you to do or feel or change anything about your life. Really, just listen and enjoy. And if you need real help, find a professional for your specific problem. We don't know you. How could we speak to your deal? Okay, have fun.
Sorry, I like to play the opening so people have the understanding of what they're watching and what they're doing. Okay, so, well, let's put that aside, and I'm pulling out something else from the bucket, and here it is. Here it is. Why does the wife always seem to forget about husband on social media like he never existed? What does that even mean? Why does the wife forget about the husband? Now, is she, so this is obviously a man, or it's a wife of a wife, which is fine too, but what do you mean forget them on? So like, do you think they're pretending they're single? That would be wrong.
You don't exist when you're posting stuff and it's like me and my children and my food and my drinks and it's all about me. Like you don't even have a husband. Like it's not us on social media. It's me on social media. It's a very narcissistic format. So though it's not so much the we, and even if you're, I don't know about you guys, but I know some people whose, let's say, Facebook name is like Bob and Kathy Smith, not Bob Smith or Kathy Smith. It's like our Facebook page is a us. That's not common. And in fact, I think people kind of look like, really? You're like, don't have your own Facebook page or something like that. But it's a narcissistic format. So it's very me centered.
What do you suggest people do?
Don't make such a big deal about it. I don't care.
You have a couple come in and they're arguing and somebody says this and you go, I don't care. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, like, why do you care so much? Tone it down.
why do you care about? Wait, why does who care?
Why does the person who's all butthurt about not being on the social media, like, do I not exist? Are you not like, why aren't you posting pictures of me and us? You know, who is that, and why do they care so much?
I can understand that, but what if somebody is acting very single on their social media when they're married, flirting, having little tete-a-tetes?
Boundary issue. That would be a boundary issue.
Okay. But that would be wrong.
That would be something that we would have to discuss, because they're getting their ego fed and their intimacy fed using other strategies than their partner. That's you get your intimacy and attachment stuff from your partner. That's
right. That's your connection. That's right. Very good. So Aubrie and John both on social media, but not that much.
Not much. I think the last time that I posted something was when we got our pictures back from our wedding. So like
that was selfish. How dare you?
Other than that, like, I mean, neither one of us really post a whole lot on there.
The last thing I posted was during the presidential debate, and I said, take a shot every time Chris Wallace says Mr. President.
That is so funny.
I think we both realize. I think we both realize how just toxic social media is. I've been off Facebook a lot. And that gets into a whole another thing that's marriage, that can be marriage related or adjacent, but it's not a marriage issue. It's just getting your ego fed from social media. It's a dark hole, and it's terrifying looking down it.
It can be terrifying. So Aubrie, your last post, October 9th, I have an amazing team at Riverside Care and Rehabilitation Center, which is a great way to use this. And I think we have, like Janet and I have kind of a small obligation, of course, because of entertainment, because of this, without social media where we right now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Without YouTube. We're doing a Halloween show, which I can't believe you guys haven't come to the Halloween show yet. Friday night or next week. So anyway, so it's kind of a necessary evil. And then every once in a while I get embroiled, but I don't think about, matter of fact, I try not to spend much time, because of what I do, spend a lot of time talking about, wives and kids and stuff like that. But when there's fun things and nice things to say about your wife, you talk about those things. And Janet does the same, even though, because of being a university professor, most of her stuff is about that. And then other than that, it just is family. That's all it is too. But to talk to this, if you're embroiled in everything else but your own life and social media, I think you're missing your own life in a way.
That's a problem. It can be like an addiction.
That's terrible. And then,
although you were talking earlier, just my life, my family, my children, like just because of how involved I have to be right now, just every day. If she posted something saying my son, I'm like, oh, sweet, I'm off the hook for the day.
Do that. That's a good idea. Do that. Make that happen. I think that's a good idea.
It's all how you look at it.
It is all how you look. That is very smart. Okay, we're going to do this and one more, and then we're going to take the quiz on money, because money is very important in a marriage. Now, here's interesting, and I think you guys are going to have a very wise concept of this, and I know that Donna and I will disagree. Should children ever be spanked when their behavior is out of control? Now, my guess is, because of what you have, John, you have special needs and stuff like that, that you would have a specific idea of corporal punishment.
I'm going to answer this first.
You should.
As an OT that used to work with children, especially kiddos with special needs, you have to model behavior. So if you are modeling that it is okay to hit people when they aren't following instructions, then you're making people who hit other people. That being said, there are some kids who will only ever respond to corporal punishment. Those are very few and far between, but they exist in the world just like every other child exists in the world. But there are far more creative ways to tailor behavior. And that's one of the things that we've gotten pretty creative with recently, just as a function of being a parent. So.
Well, and there's sometimes you just have to stop somebody, and I don't want to say it has to be hitting, but there has to be a way to stop somebody.
Right.
And that's, to me, different than literally you're over my knee and I'm spanking you, which I can not really see as a good option in almost any occurrence. Now, Donna's looking funny at us. Donna, why?
I hate it. Because parenting is about, yes, there's discipline and educating. Mm-hmm. And we don't even train animals anymore using violence as children. And we don't teach people by hitting them. Okay, that's not education. So as much as how common it is, it's lazy and ineffective and has side effects. So it's absolutely do not approve of it. Like Aubie was saying, there's so many other ways to manage behavior, to educate or discipline. So many other ways. So many other ways that like no one even tries. They just go right for that one.
Yeah, well, because lazy is something I say with most kids. See, because I would say, people say this all the time. They say, well, you know what? We wouldn't have these problems with these kids if you just spank them. Wait a minute. I would say if you go through Harvard and Yale and Princeton and ask every one of those kids how many have been spanked, you would find almost zero. Now go to prisons and ask them how many of those kids, when they were kids, were spanked, and you'd find out about all of them were spanked a lot when they were kids. I mean,
the people who are, I've never heard that. Well, actually, if I have,
I hear it all the time.
It is not a research study. It's not true at all.
Well, aren't the problems being caused by people who were spanked?
That's what I would say. I would say because you're going to be more aggressive if you're spanked. People act like that's why they're a good person, as opposed to that's just didn't make you a bad person. Other thing, you had love in your life, you had a good family, you had everything, and you were spanked. The spanking was a problem. The other things made you good. If your life is horrible and you're treated terrible and you are also spanked, you're probably going to be a lot worse. You know what I mean? That's
like one little factor in all the other factors.
That's right. You are a good person despite the fact you were spanked, if you're a good person.
As far as my opinion on it, it's pretty much the same as Aubie's, because it's different if your child is doing something and you have a reaction and you smack them or hit them, which is not good on its own. It's a different thing to take the time to bend them over you and with your hand or with the belt, do that. You can believe science or you cannot believe science, but science says that at best, it does not help. That being said, this is not my thought. This is not my joke, but
it's a joke.
As a parent, I hear about other parents doing it, and there's a certain point where I'm like, I totally get it. Kids are terrible sometimes.
Other kids, yeah. Oh yeah, sure. I see other kids beat them. Yeah, they're terrible. No, I'm just kidding. Sure. My kid. That's what's funny too is a lot of these people who are all for spanking would never ever even think, "How dare you? You would never hit my kid." They just like to see other people punished. That's what it is. They just like to see other people punished. Okay, let's take the money quiz. And but first, we need to do our little commercial, if that's okay, because we have our Halloween show. We're doing 6 more shows, and I'm going to play. Oh, I got the wrong promo up. Oh, darn it. Okay, I feel darn it. Okay, I'm just going to tell you, go to ultimatehalloweenparty.com, and we are doing 6 more Halloween shows this week and next week. We also stream them live on Facebook at different places, but you can redo them on Zoom. It's good for fun, families, and kids. It's fantastic. I wish I had it loaded. Okay, let's do the quiz.
That was good. That was a good radio commercial. That was good.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Okay, so this is your partner and money questions from wife.org. That's the website. wife.org. Here we go. Number one, my partner handles money, A, like a bull in a china shop. Let's go to John and them.
For the most part, it's how we agree upon. We're not super tight with it, but we don't go over the top.
Yeah.
Because we do have things to pay off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, student loans, because you guys have, being younger people and just out of college, there's a lot more student loan debt and stuff like that you have to worry about. So which did you pick, A, B, or C?
B.
B. You have a mutually agreed plan. Do you do a budget together?
We do not, but we talk about it regularly.
Do you have a level of spending you will not do unless you talk to the other person?
Yeah.
What level is that? Give me a number.
Talked about this.
We
What
talked
was
about it. We've agreed nothing over $500.
Wow, 500. So yeah, 4. You could drop 4 in a second.
Say surprise.
Look at these shoes, baby.
Yeah.
$3.95.
$3.95.
$3.95. Okay.
But even like most purchases, even if they're anything more than what we would spend at like the grocery store, we talk about it.
Okay. Have there been any where you spent money and the other one was like, ooh, yeah, that was $4.50. You haven't even thought, because I just would never say it would happen. I would just never say. We have no spending limit. They spend whatever they want. Oh, you spent $2,000. Oh, great. But
I learned a long time ago not to get upset about money in a relationship.
Good.
not to get upset, but there's a point of it's going to affect your life in the future, and that's different. So Donna, you're in the Hamptons all week.
Oh yeah, spending money everywhere.
Spending money everywhere. So, but you guys, I mean, because you and I are both in a whole different section of our lives, how has that changed since when you were young?
I would say, I don't know if ours has pretty much changed. I think we're kind of on the same page as Aubrie and John, where I would say there's this understanding of how we spend money, and it's like the bigger stuff. Let's say the something that's like a couple $100, we'd probably both be choosing it, and so we both be knowing the price. But there's no micromanaging. Like if I'm buying some clothes, it's not like anyone needs to know, doesn't know, or whatever. You know, I don't hide anything. But that's little stuff. But I'm with them on the bigger stuff. We're talking about it and choosing it, and we just know it's not.
Right now, when you first got married, I mean,
We've always had our own incomes. Like I've always worked, he's always worked. So, and it's just kind of went to the household. I remember even having a discussion about it. I don't remember even like there's a big discussion. This is how we're going to do it. It's just, we both know, and we talk about it, and we talk about like, oh, this bill, and oh, maybe we can get rid of those bills, and maybe we can like, we just talking. It's just like an ongoing conversation.
Yeah. And that's good because what happens here is, we've always kind of had money because we've always both worked till March. And Janet doesn't really care that much about, she makes good money. I always make good money. She didn't really care as long as, and she can buy what she wants. We've had talks about what you're getting or not getting. And is this expensive? And especially when you get into college at, $32,000 a year, you have these discussions, but she doesn't really care about the process. I've always been in charge of the process of saving, paying things off and stuff like that, only because I care so much about it. And we were lucky we decided not to have children for the first 8 or 9 years, that I could pay off a house. I'm throwing $4,000 or $5,000 a month at houses, at investing, at stuff like that. So by the time we got to the point now, it doesn't kind of matter what we do. We're fine no matter what. You know what I mean? Now, I still get a little freaky when we spend a lot of money. We just spent $10,000 this month. I'm like, okay, I've got to move this and I've got that there. But when it comes down to it, because we've set it all up in the first place, the money is there. But we've never had to, cut back or do all this stuff.
We've had times where it was pretty dang tight in Ohio for a couple of years, and my husband does construction, and for like 4 months of the year, you can't do anything outside. So there were times where it was super duper tight that we had to be like, okay, we're having potatoes and chicken for like months. But we were talking about it. There was no money. There was like maybe some unemployment coming in. And we had to be like, okay, what do we need to cut? What can we cut? Like the cable can go. What else can go? Like, let's not buy any new clothes. Like we'd have to talk about how to survive a super tight time. That's changed. But there was a time where we did have to really be on the same page, or it would not have been good.
We pretended that, but it's never happened. Like the year before we even got married, I was like, I want a keyboard. That's only $3,000. Sure, what the heck? I'll get it. We just spend, and then I worry, but then it all works out. It's really weird. Okay, so here we go. Number 2, I understand how to. This is scary. Call my honey and ask for a larger allowance.
Okay.
B, tell a bill collector, no cash for you. Or C, pay bills, manage accounts, and talk to financial advisors. Any of those ring true?
I need more options.
Yeah,
I know how. The thing was, I know how to do this.
I understand how to call your honey, and this is wife.org, and ask for a larger allowance. So
I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, Aubie had asking for an allowance. Are you calling in?
Well, see, what's really funny is I'm the breadwinner. So he would be calling me and asking for an allowance.
Oh, that's good. So great. Well, and look, when we had Darby, we decided that I would cut back and that I would only be on the road 6 days a month or so like that. Now we lucked out that I found Carnival and that suddenly I still made $45,000 a year. I only went down like 15, 20,000. So it was fine, but I was home most of the time, and Janet ended up making more than me. So the other one was tell a bill collector, no cash for you. I've never had a bill collector. You guys, you have? Why were you having
the electric bill back in those days when it was, super duper duper tight? I've had to call and go like, we don't got it. Can I make a payment and then make a payment for this on next month's bill? And I had to call and make arrangements because we just didn't have it.
Wow, I've lost total respect for you. Okay, so Aubrey, John, you ever had to do these things?
Recently, I've been in the hospital for thyroid issues.
Mm-hmm.
And less so bill collection and more so insurance not paying, getting to deal with them on them needing a pre-cert for an ER visit. So
or something that they completely misdiagnosed in urgent care.
Yeah.
Did you get it fixed?
We're in the process.
Oh, you're still here. That's right.
Yeah.
And her work is switching insurances. So she's going to be dealing with an insurance that she doesn't have here in a few months.
Wow. One thing I'm good at is yelling at people when I know like insurance, not bill. We've never had a bill collector, but we've never owned a bill. But we've had people think we owe this, or we've had people not do that, or we've had insurance, like car insurance, where we got in a wreck, and I'm real good at getting on them hard, and we've always had these things come out in our favor. We had a tree fall in our house in Santa Claus because they cut through it when they built the house. They cut all the root system out. And so then a year later, tree's dead, it falls in their house. Their insurance won't pay for it because it was on their land. And they said, screw you, it's an act of God. I said, it is not an act of God. And I put a whole thing together where I got an arborist to say the tree was dead. They said it was wind. I got the wind for 4 days. And then I told my neighbors, I'm going to sue you through your insurance company to pay for this. They were not happy about that, by the way. And I said, look, I will not sue you personally, and their insurance company had to not only apologize, but pay for it, because the guy told me that I was a loser and stupid and stuff like that. And they had to apologize. So I got a bank manager moved from Santa Claus who because they overdrew our account one day. They took out an extra $300, and I went in and I said, no, this isn't right. And I showed, and they said, look, if you weren't such a deadbeat, this manager said, if you weren't such a deadbeat. And then I proved that they had run another person's check through my account and took the money, and they had to move his butt to another bank. That's how mad I got. So that's just a little me. I apologize. Okay, one more.
Good to have you as a friend.
I'm sorry. I apologize. My partner and I divide the money management tasks in our household. This doesn't make any sense. My partner and I divide the money management tasks in our household, A, by custom, B, by natural ability, C, by sheer neglect. So you divide the money management tasks. Do you do it because, oh my God, we're screwed over and we have to do it, or whoever does it the best, or do you figure it out ahead of time?
So is it man's work? Is it whoever's best, or, oh crap, this is coming up?
Yes.
I mostly, it's not quite 50-50. I do a little bit more of it just because more stuff is in my name. So for Aubie, really, it's just your student loans and your health bills, but the house, the utilities, I do the grocery shopping. And later on, it's moving more towards me handling it, just so it's one less thing for her to get a migraine over. And I don't mind doing it. So there's a lot of that in our relationship as far as, what do you hate least? Because I hate this. Can you do this? Because I hate this.
Well, now there's some important things. Say, what about taxes? Are you filing jointly or separately?
Well, I assume we'll file jointly. We have to see what it comes out. But again, I've always done my own taxes. I don't mind doing taxes.
Okay. So, and Aubie, you guys, I mean, how are you going to do tax-wise? Who's going to do the brunt of that? Okay. There you go. You're pointing right ahead.
I always cry at tax season.
Okay.
Nope, that's been fun for the last 2 years.
These
I'll just handle it, because they ask me questions I don't know the answers to. And I don't know
you
how
have
to find
somebody
it.
do your taxes?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because you have to pay them.
That's true. That's true.
And I have student loans.
So, Donna, how do you deal with this stuff?
So ours is like, I'm with John with whoever hates it least, who hates it less than the other person, and who has time. And then when it comes to taxes, like, mine is super complicated. So definitely delegate that one out. I think it would overwhelm either of us. Neither of us are numbers people, but like, it's changed over the years. Like, there was a time I was a stay-at-home mom, so I was doing all the bills and getting all them done. And then now he's the stay-at-home, he's retired, so he's doing the majority of the bills and making sure everything. So it's whoever has the time and the and hates it less than the other person. We both don't love it, I have to say.
So what are you an LLC? You have to be.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but you should have that. You have to have somebody else do all that. That's not personal. Yeah, that's not personal. So I do everything, and I have Janet sign stuff. That's how.
I like that. I want that.
Yeah,
I do I've done every bit of investing. I've done every tax thing every year. She has no idea what is paid, how the taxes are paid. Now, she publishes a ton. She's got so much stuff professionally she does. And because comedy doesn't take much time, have the time. And I love doing it. I love being in charge of all that. I love doing that. I love investing. I love knowing where we're invested. And then every once in a while, she wouldn't even ask, but I force her to sit down and listen to what we have and where it is and where the future is going. You know what I mean? Here's where we are, and here's what your pensions look like, and here's what here's what your IRA, and here's how much money we can spend in the future, and here's in 20 years, here's how much we're going to be able to take in. You know what I mean? Where all that is me, doesn't care.
I need you to be excited about this with me.
Yes. She will not be excited about it with me, but that's fine. Okay. Now here it is. Last one. And then we're going to go. We've spent too long anyway. I know my spouse's A, investment personality and risk tolerance. This is very specific. B, greatest financial foibles. C, I know my spouse's name. Okay, they just get stupid in there. So do you, John and Aubrie, know your risk for tolerance in investments, your investment personality, and do you even have these things? All right, I was going to ask you guys, have you even thought or looked into what you're doing investment-wise for 25 years in the future?
We
know people who know enough. So
you know people who are going to die.
I mean, the most investment that I have is I have a life insurance policy in case I explode. Like, that's where we're at right now.
Which is not enough to pay for student loans.
Do you have term life? Do you have term life on each other?
I have term life on me.
I don't have anything at the moment.
But if you die, you don't get your money, Aubrie. You have to give it to somebody else.
Well, I don't think you did it.
Okay, you have a policy. Is it through your work?
It's through work and a personal.
Okay. And then, well, now John needs a policy that if he dies, that you get money. And it should be pretty cheap. Okay, you both need term insurance. What kind of 401k through your work do you have?
I have one.
But you don't know what it is or what's invested? Okay, we have to look at this. You guys have to look at this. Because there's got to be good. They might be matching funds that you have to have. You could have matching. They could be giving you, because they've got to have something. And you have to be in whatever it is, you have to be as fully invested as you can into whatever they're. And also, this is the year to get IRAs.
Brad, you're a comedian and a financial advisor.
At one point I was going to be, but I didn't go into it. It would be something I could have gone into, but I didn't. But you guys need to. This is the year. Next year, start, and it's automatic, just like Vanguard. You just so much money comes out every month. Every month out of this account, I have this much money that comes out and goes into 2 IRAs. One for Janet, one for me. Now, personally, mine is regular, hers is a Roth. Everybody out there, whoever listens to this, listen to this, and you do this because that money, and it'd be good if it could be the full amount up to, you guys are under 50, so it's $6,000 a year. If you could do 6,000 each, that's 12,000. Might be tough right now for what you have to pay and stuff like that, but it'd be great if you could do that, because in 25 years, if you did that and even basic things, you would have $1 million just sitting there. And you wouldn't have done anything and even really noticed that that money disappeared. So I'm saying these are things you have to think about.
I was a VIP at a Dave Ramsey show once, so.
You what?
I was a VIP at a Dave Ramsey show once, so I have a basic understanding of it all.
Well, then get in it. I can't believe you're not in it. And this is for the people listening out there too. And stuff like that, because then there's a point when COVID happened that we've never really gotten that excited. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, oh, when am I going to work? I have so many comics right now. So many comics out there are, what am I going to do? It's still 7 months later. I have no work. I'm not making any money. And they don't have it and they're in their 50s. Haven't thought about it. Haven't thought about having a dime. You know, there's nothing more important. Donna, is there anything more important?
No, the news spot I'm waiting to do is more important because you keep talking about finances.
I'm so sorry. I don't, but marriage and finances are very important. Okay, well, shut up. Okay. Last thing, here we go. How do you decide on a yearly vacation spot when everyone has a different idea of fun?
No boats.
I plan it.
I what?
I plan it.
You plan it and everybody has to go with what you say.
Yes. And
that's the end of it.
That is. I take into consideration their preferences, but I plan it and they have fun.
Well, but if they're not going to do any planning, then they don't get as much of a voice. Is what you're saying.
Right.
But what if somebody wanted to plan it?
Well, they don't get to because I'm the lead. I plan.
Wow.
Matriarch.
Like Aubrie.
Pardon?
Who does that sound like?
Oh, well, I can think of a couple people. So
When I find something, they can't. That's how it goes.
Well, because the problem is when Aubrie was little, we used to do a lot of family vacations with 10 of us because the kids were little and it was easy to decide. We went to Vegas, we went to Disney World and stuff like that. But as they got older, they started having opinions and not wanting to do crap. So now we end up never going anywhere at this point, and it's a lot harder. So what are you guys going to do? And then we're going to be done.
Well, so far it's been this person has a wedding at this place, so that's our vacation fund. So, like over this past Christmas, one of my friends, she lives in New Orleans, so she got married in New Orleans. So we went on a New Orleans trip, and we spent a couple extra days there just because we were going to be there anyways. So that was our little vacation.
We didn't really take vacations growing up, so it's a new concept to me that I hope to experience one day.
Yeah, he grew up on a dairy farm, so they didn't get to go vacation.
They had a lot of work.
I mean, we went to Disney a couple of times, and we've done stuff. And I used to go to a nature camp once a summer that was in a different spot. But the whole thing of going somewhere and just relaxing and just doing fun stuff that just you want to do, there's a level of that I just haven't experienced, and we haven't even had a honeymoon yet. So
that's true. But let's expand this though, because you're thinking of just you two. I'm talking about groups of families. Like, as I said, the last thing that Aubrie, we did, we rented a house in Panama City Beach. It was her family, my family, Sarah's family, and my in-laws. And we all rented one house in Panama City. And it was a great vacation. And what happened was we just suggested it, and then we all threw money at it. But now I'm not sure if we could all get together on anything that we would want to do together.
Well, and you also have to think of how all of our schedules are different, and there's a lot more than just it's summer vacation.
We have a lot more families that are adults is the thing, because we're not dragging people around with us anymore. They have ideas and options. And
do you want that many people around with that many opinions, though, on what to do?
Nothing will ever get done.
No.
So that's why Donna makes all the decisions. That's exactly it. So, okay. Well, let's wrap it up on that. Aubrie, John, thank you. We've learned so much about you. We have not offended your mother, I think, which is great. We have not said anything horrible like that, and we learned things. Donna, thank you very much. This has been the show. I'm going to push the button. Goodbye, everybody. And we're still not out. It's taking a second. We're still not out. Hey, everybody wave, because for some reason, the broadcast doesn't want to end. It doesn't want to. Jimmy Della Valle came in and said, I came in when you said spanking. Ooh, so sexy.
He got so excited for a minute there. And then,
so excited. Well, I'm sorry you got angry at the financial talk, Donna.
No, I told the news that I was going to be ready at 2:40.
Oh, well, why didn't you tell us that?
I'm trying. I was texting you and messaging you on the chat, and you're like not even looking. I'm like, I got to go.